G'day everybody, we're Zandt here from the Down Under Centre. So I'm joined by Shelley.mayes. So Shelley, welcome. This is our first podcast / YouTube video together. You've done a few webinars with us, and you've also been running webinars every Tuesday of late on how to pass an English test, what's involved in an English test. So we thought we'd put this interview together to understand a little bit more about what's involved, what we do, how we help. So before we do that, you are from Australia?
I am. I'm
okay. And whereabouts in Aussie are you from?
I'm from Brisbane.
Brisbane. All right. So what's the rivalry? Is there a big, there's not a big rivalry between Brisbane and Victoria, is it?
Well, it depends if you're talking sport.
Sport. Well, it's all AFL in Victoria. It's all rugby.
I'm a league fan. I like rugby league. So I go for the Brisbane Broncos.
There you go. Well, I think New South Wales and Queensland have that.
Yeah, the state of origin.
The state of origin, that kind of, and I sort of think Victoria has that with South Australia, because we sort of similar sort of weather. We can't compete that way with the sun, but we do get a lovely winter. So you're from Queensland. You're living here in the UK now, which is great. And your role in with the Down Under Centre is to prepare our English study preparation, work with PTE Pearsons and IELTS to make sure that our clients are there on time, and we've got the preparation kits there and everything like that. So I think what we'll do is we'll ask you a few random questions. I'll throw a few random questions in this, but we'll also explain how it works. So obviously, if someone wants to migrate to Australia and they're looking to go on a skilled visa, it's not, depending on what passport they hold, sometimes it's mandatory that they complete an English test, and sometimes it's beneficial so they can generate further points towards the visa. So us being in the UK, many of our clients need to do a skills assessment to generate points for a skilled visa. And we've got everyone from trade clients all the way out to, nurses, doctors. And obviously it's a little bit different. Myself being a tradie, I think, reading, writing, I've never had too much of an issue of speaking, to be honest. But the reading and writing side, I still find that hard today, actually. If I didn't have a great team behind me, I think I would have thrown the towel in a long time ago. But as a tradie, I think we do get a little bit nervous about it. When we hear English tests, we sort of freeze and think, oh, hang on, I need an English test? Well, I'm English. Hang on, I'm English and I want to move to Australia and I need an English test.
Yeah.
How unfair is that? I'm English.
Exactly.
So we're going to try and break it down and try and manage clients' expectations, because it's not a walk in the park. It's far from it. No. But also, would be fair to say it's like a driving test. Most people know how to drive, but if you're going to sit your driving test, you'd make sure on the day if your actual, when you're, what do you call it, your instructor, or the person who actually sits the test, you look in the mirrors, do what you have to do, and then maybe when you're driving normal, you don't do that. So would it be fair to say that's similar to the English test?
Yeah, I would say so. It's not something that anyone's really going to be naturally talented at. This test is very specific, what it's actually requiring of you for every question. And there are the 4 skills that it tests you on. So you are tested on your writing skills, your speaking skills, listening and reading. But it's not just whether you can use those skills, because like you said, a lot of the people actually doing this test are native English users, so they've been using those skills their whole lives. Yeah. But the test is more advanced than that, so you do actually have to prepare specifically for this test, even if you are a native English speaker, because it'd be quite difficult to just walk in there and get past the flying colours.
Now, when you joined the business, we were super excited. So you've been obviously, we haven't sort of, you've got an Australian accent, you can teach this. It was just amazing that we found an Australian with a passion for migration and travel. You've quite well travelled yourself, which is very unlikely for our Queenslanders. But anyway, little dig at Queenslanders.
Yes. I like to travel too.
Yeah, no, we've had probably 4 or 5 staff here that have been Queensland. We used to give on the little holiday visa. They'll come out to the UK and then they'll spend 2 years here, then back to Oz.
That was very popular.
Work with our Oz team. Yeah. And then usually, just for the record, if you, we usually find they'll spend a lot of time in London and they're from like Queensland and others, they end up going back to Melbourne. There's a bit of a fun fact for you. Oh. They reckon that Melbourne and London, the Aussies, is very similar.
I think that Melbourne is the European city of Australia.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, but back to you. So you've got the Aussie accent, you're from Australia, you've got the passion for travel, which is great, tick all the boxes. But also, how many years have you been a tutor for helping people prepare for English exams?
Around 6 years now, and like you said, it has been all over the world. So I have stopped in a few different places. The last couple of years, I've been doing it here in London.
Okay, so I guess you've got different assessments as well. You might have someone who is, an English background speaking, so they've spoken English their whole life. Probably better than I'm mumbling now. But yeah, and then you've got other people that maybe English is their second language. Exactly. So you're able to work with them and try and get the best results for these English exams.
Yes.
Or are you just dealing with native speakers, or you're doing it for everyone?
It's for everyone. So there's two main ways to prepare for the English test. You can either study to improve your test skills, so you can get really good at actually doing this test.
Yeah.
Or you can study to improve your English language ability.
Yeah.
So some people are at the stage where their English language ability is already very advanced, and all they need to do is prepare for the test and become sort of like test Jedis, really talented at just this particular test. But then, especially for people where English is their second language, you sort of have to assess at what level their English ability is. And this can also be for native English speakers who maybe just aren't so familiar with academic or formal English. And like you said, because if you're in a trade, there's never any need in your day-to-day life to have to use this kind of English. So it can be quite new to some people, in which case then we'll look at the English language skills as well as the test skills.
Yeah, whenever we're speaking to clients, Shelley, they'll always say, "Oh, but I'm a trainee. Like I use my hands. I haven't." And they sort of panic. But then, I mean, we had a great result today for our clients, guys. We have a private Facebook group just for our paid clients, and we had a good result today. So for the PTE exam, if you get scores out of 90. And you got someone about 90, 89.
Yeah, that last
Pretty
one
cool.
just missed out by 1 point.
But to get the high score in English, it's 20 points for 79 in everything. So yeah, he missed a point, but he actually got 10 points over than what he needed. So yeah, it's quite exciting. Really quite exciting. Okay, so you've got the necessary skills to teach that. Now I got taught the word necessary and how to spell that by 1 collar 2 socks. Necessary, NECC, 1 collar 2 socks. Anyway,
there's some good rhymes and tunes to help you remember things.
There is. Do you do that sort of stuff with the clients as well?
Oh, we can do. It's whatever that suits them, really. So it depends if we're going to be doing English language skills. I will try and find some ways that might stick in their head to remember certain things. But it depends on if it's a regular habit for them to make that mistake, then it might be something they do need to have a bit of a jingle to keep it in the back of their mind when they're actually taking the test.
I could never spell that word. My wife's a teacher. So my wife's a teacher, and she was like, "It's easy. 1 collar 2 socks. Simple. So, but okay. So we've got 2 English tests that the people can do for visas to Australia. 2 main tests that you can do from Australia. The ones that we're going to focus on today is the PTE Academic and the IELTS General. Now, what is the difference? The main difference between a PTE Academic and an IELTS General?
Okay, well, I guess, first of all, to look at their similarities, because they are quite similar. They both test the 4 English skills. So like we said before, writing, speaking, listening and reading. But PTE is more integrated. So those skills will be tested maybe 2 at the same time, whereas IELTS divides them into individual sections. So for IELTS, you'll specifically sit and do the reading section, and then you'll sit and do the writing section. Whereas PTE, you might do 1 question and it's partly testing you for your speaking, but also partly testing you for your listening. So it's kind of trying to be realistic to your normal life where you would actually have to listen and speak at the same time. But also primarily IELTS is handwritten, although there is an on-computer version at some centres, but PTE is always on a computer in a test centre. Okay, so similar, but one of the main reasons, I guess, is you can do the IELTS, it's handwritten, and PTE is on a computer. Okay, what do you recommend people start when it comes to preparing, or where, sorry?
do you recommend people
Oh,
start?
okay. So where to start really depends on your individual level. So like I was saying before, if your English language ability is already very advanced, then you can start to get straight into your test preparation, in which case I'd recommend starting at the basics.
Yeah.
So learning all of the types of the questions that you might be asked, what the marking criteria is for those questions, and looking at model answers, and then starting to practice yourself.
Okay.
And then preferably getting some feedback on your practice so you know where you're going right and where you're going wrong.
Yep, perfect practice makes perfect when it comes to sport and everything. It's always been good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next questions are funny. Well, you know, how easy is the English test? And I know you're probably going to say it depends on the person's background. And I've got this little thing when I'm chatting away to clients, and I used to be able to speak to a client and think maybe they'll struggle, maybe they wouldn't. So if I thought to myself, oh, they might struggle with the English, so sometimes I've said, oh, look, maybe go off and do an English test first, if they are really worried about it, and then come back to us, you know, if you just need it for the points. And they usually come back and get a high score. And then I'll speak to some other people, and I'll be like, oh, you'll be absolutely fine. And they'll come back and struggle with it. So, I mean, with this one, how easy is the English test?
I mean, yeah, you're right. It does depend on the person, but it also depends on how much preparation they've done. It is possible to pass this test and to get a high score, but it just will be about how much time it takes to prepare for you.
Yeah.
And some people don't need to do much preparation because maybe their background is in an academic world where they use that sort of language a lot, or maybe they've taken tests before and they're not so stressed when they go to sit a test. So it's really different for everyone, but it's only just a matter of how much time you spend preparing, really.
I think it's a challenging part, isn't it? You sort of, if you want to migrate to Oz, you've got this whole life, and it's not just people in Australia, obviously it's the Canada visas, UK visas, New Zealand visas and all that as well. But, you know, you want to get there, and I think migration to Australia is quite difficult. You know, they want English speaking skilled migrants. They want people who have an occupation on the skilled list, and a skills assessment's required. Then you've got to do an English test, and it's the emotional side of it, then family, and then you've got to do health checks and medicals, and it's finding the time to do it. Now, we'll talk about this in a bit regarding the hours that you're made yourself available for, and you have made allowances for that, which I think is great for the clients. But maybe, you know, it's a time with you, but also the time that they need to spend by themselves learning and trying to get it. And again, I mean, like, guys, there is no right or wrong with the English test preparation. You know, there's free material and all that out there. Some of it's good. It's how you learn. I mean, myself personally, I can read something, and as I'm reading it, I'll be thinking about the footy or something, and I'm reading the words, but it's not sinking in, Shelley. And I'm like, oh, I'll sort of think to myself, well, you know, what did I just read? But then if someone tells me something, I just remember it flat out. It's just how it works for me. So whenever I have to do exams or tests, or when I was doing the training and assessing qualification, I found that a bit hard. And it was always by getting help with someone do that, verbally explaining it to me, I could retain the information, and I learned those tips and tricks. So what would you say would be the hardest part about the test?
Okay, well, I guess it partly is hard for people in different areas, similar to how you found difficulty in reading. It's probably because you're a visual learner. You're not a visual learner, you're an auditory learner. So you actually retain information when you hear it, whereas when you see it, it's not so easy for you to retain the information. Some people are kinesthetic learners and that they actually need to do things to learn them.
Wow. I didn't know that sort of stuff existed. There you go. That's kind of cool, isn't it?
But because of that, then it means that the test is a different experience for everyone. So maybe I am a visual learner, so reading for me is very easy, but then I'm not such a good auditory learner. So for me, maybe I would struggle in the listening part where you would be okay, and vice versa. I'd be okay in the reading part where you might struggle. Okay, so it's establishing wins. I think it's the whole thing as well is, you know, a lot of the time the English test is the same test that someone might need to do to get into university. You know, so if English wasn't your first language, you might have to pass a test to get to university over here. It's the same test. So generally, if you have got that, you've been speaking English your whole life and everything, it probably isn't as daunting. And again, it's how you prepare for that. And I'm just amazed, like some of my tradies, I just love it when they just call me up and they're like, all right, where's that? I did it, first go. Smashed it, 20 points, what's next? And I'm like, all right, come and do the skills assessment. And then others, they sort of get anxious about it. And I guess that's what we want to try and relieve a bit today, guys, and sort of say,
look, it's got to be done. If it's needed to be done for your points, but it is really achievable, and it's trying to make that work. And it's difficult because you put the time into it, but migration is difficult. If migration was easy, everyone would be doing it, but it's not. It takes a special person that wants to migrate to Oz. You need support from your partner. You know, I would say, well, you know, while the client's needing stuff for the skills assessment, maybe the partner can help with that part, and then before they go to bed, they sort of, you know, follow your tuitions or listen to a few of the webinars that you've run, etc., and then get that idea so it's there in front of them.
Exactly.
If they learn like me, they can listen to it, and it's all there.
They can.
Okay, so we do private tuition. Okay, and how does that make the process easier?
Well, if you're doing it alone, then it can be quite difficult to know if you're going in the right direction or if you're not. And if you're not going in the right direction, what you're doing wrong, and then therefore how to improve. So on your own, it can take quite a lot of time to actually study this entire test and become an expert at this test and know exactly what answers are required to get a high score. So if you're taking private tuition, then you'll actually have me giving you feedback the whole way, so I can establish what your weaknesses are, the areas that you need to target, and what you need to do specifically, or what you need to change specifically to be getting a high score, or whatever score you need is what we'll aim for. Yeah.
And I guess it's sort of like a starting point. Okay, so you have the tuitions, and it's trying to work out with that as well how that's going to work, and obviously finding, you mentioned that before about the weaknesses and trying to establish what they are, and everyone's different. So you have appointments, weekends, evenings, and obviously it's not just you. You've got another person. You've created a team now as well, which is exciting. So it's when can people book in a tuition with you?
So I try to make myself available at all sorts of odd hours, because I know most people have to work themselves, and study usually happens outside of that. So I work weekends and evenings and mornings, you name it. But generally speaking, if you try to find an appointment with me and you can't find a time that suits, you can just send me an email and I'll try to rearrange things so that they can get their lesson in.
Yeah, again, it's managing expectations, guys. So they get access to your calendar, okay, and then they can choose a schedule that you've made available. They click on that and make it work from there. So what do you recommend for someone who has taken the test before, maybe more than once, but they're not getting the results that they need?
Okay, so I think probably just, first of all, don't give up, because obviously it can be quite deflating if you put time into this and then you get results back that are not what you hoped for. But it's not actually a failure if you don't get the results that you needed in the test. It's simply because you booked it before you were quite ready. So like I said, it's just a matter of time. It is some hard work, but most people, especially the tradies, they're used to hard work, so they're fine with it.
Oh, they are.
And once the hard work's done, then you can walk into that test feeling quite confident that you can get the score you need. But if you don't, it just means you took that test a bit too early.
And I guess it's understanding the process, which is what we sort of cover in your webinars that you run, you know, YouTube videos that you're putting out there. And then you got some clients who just want to wing it, and they wing it and they smash it and they get it first go. And you get other people that it plays on their mind. And even when I'm assessing the plumbers, you can see in their body language, the English test, and they sort of go down like, mate, you'll be fine. Like, you know, like you will be fine, but just know what you need to be assessed about. So before you start the plumbing assessment, you're a bit anxious about it, you're a bit worried about it. Once you knew what you were going to be assessed on the day, and you realize you do it every day and you knew it, it never became an issue because you worried about it. So obviously it is hard, and I'm going to say hard, it's challenging to find the time, and it's got to be done. It's getting mentally prepared to do it and understanding what it's about. And that's something that you can obviously prepare them for. Okay, is it possible to pass the English test if someone didn't go to university, or maybe finished when they finished school and they were 14, 15?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see lots of people like that that ask the same question. But you can absolutely prepare for this test even if you haven't been to uni. It would probably make things a little easier if you had done a couple of degrees, because you'd be, first of all, familiar with the whole test process, so the test word wouldn't scare you so much, but also you'd be more familiar with academic language. But if you haven't, then it's not a problem, because you can still get there, because you're actually going to be preparing for this test, which is different to any test you do at university anyway. So you're still going to have to prepare even if you have been to university. It's just probably going to save you a little bit of extra time.
Yep. Course, of course, isn't it? That's what it is. It's all about, obviously if you've got that and you've been to university and you are academic, like we spoke about, you probably find it easier. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone books in a lesson with you. What does that look like? How does that work?
So the lessons are all held online. So we just log in, speak to each other. You can be at the comfort of your own home, or sometimes people tune in their lunch break at work. But it's held usually using Zoom or Skype or Teams or FaceTime, anything that you prefer, really. Okay,
so you'll give the option to the person or situation. So they're not like me, I can't download anything. If I even buy something off Amazon, it breaks me. I can't do it. It's just how I am.
It's really easy.
We can pick it, tell you the format, and you'll arrange that.
Exactly.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
And Zoom's probably one of the better ones, because I can just send a link and you just click on the link, and then there I am in your living room or wherever you've got your laptop set up. So it's very, very easy. I'll send you a link, you click it, and your class is started.
Awesome. Now, a little birdie told me that the Down Under Centre can get a 10% discount for practice tests.
Yes.
And a 10% discount off your first PTE test.
Yes. That's
providing you're in the UK. So they just contact you, they can get those details and everything like that.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
I think, the way that when we sort of set this up, it's kind of like we give you, maybe would be, Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the idea that maybe you have a chat with them, or they follow one of your webinars, send some information sheets out, maybe they then go and do a practice test, which will give them a discount for. They give the results back to you from the practice test. You then can spend time with them and work out what the weaknesses are, because obviously important, and focus on their strengths, work out what the weaknesses are. Once you've established what the weaknesses are, train them, and then they use a 10% discount to go and pay for the exam. So they're probably going to be saving around about 25, 30 quid with the discounts, and it's £40 a session for DUC clients, for Down Under Centre clients, and it's £50 a session for non-DUC clients. And you also do bundles as well.
Yes.
So those bundles, off the top of your head, do you remember what they are? Do you remember?
Yeah, so we do offer 3 1-hour sessions for 110 plus VAT. That's for DUC members.
Yep.
Or 135 plus VAT for non-DUC members. So you can actually take 3 lessons if you know that you're going to need at least 3. Then it's just a better option. That way. So
sort of, I guess, if you got there and you start and you want to do the practice test and everything like that, have a chat with you, work out the weaknesses, and then move forward from each one. And again, guys, look, there is free, there's heaps of free YouTube videos and all that out there as well. I think, when I first met you and I was like, wow, what a great opportunity to sort of bring this into the business, was because we've got lots of clients. Some clients like, well, I need a tutor, and maybe sometimes they're maybe shy a bit about going, well, actually, I wouldn't mind getting a tutor. I'm English, but I need to pass it. And I'm like, mate, who cares? That's just, if you fail it 4 times one time, it takes a better person to actually go back there and hit those challenges and make it work, because that's what you need for your visa. But by getting you guys, by bringing you in, it just creates that other option. So Shelley, I just want to thank you so much, because I've seen, results now. You've already got I think this week you have about 3 testimonials from clients. So you're winning them over. You're getting them from where they want to be. You're taking that stress around. You're a very relaxed person. And would you like to give, 3 tips maybe you would give to someone who's looking to sit either the PTE or the IELTS test?
Okay, yeah, sure. First of all, it might get hard at times, but don't give up, because you can do it. Second of all, I'd say give yourself time, maybe a bit more time than you think. Don't leave everything until the last minute. And third of all, instead of despairing or stressing or going grey, if you need some help, just ask for some help, because there's loads of support out there. If it's private tuition, then that's great. But there's also like the DUC club. If you're a DUC member, I'm always seeing people posting on there, giving each other support.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I reckon it's so good. Like you've got to be in this together. Like it's us with them, with the client.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so happy that you're a part of this team.
Oh, thanks,
it's just really cool. It's good because you got that experience about Australia. You can sort of help them with that. Also give them tips about how to save money on their move to, you know, tell them about the employment hub and everything that we've got. So cool. We'll cap this one off, and I'm sure we'll do this. You know, we will meet again. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with people listening, guys. If you want some information regarding how to pass an English test or tuitions or just general questions, there'll be Shelley's details will be followed by this little video, or you can contact the Down Under Centre, just www.downundercentre.com. All right, Shelley, well, let's go, and we're about to have a dinner, actually.
We are. I'm hungry.
First time for a while I've had the whole team in without COVID restrictions, which has been nice. So we'll go do that. Guys, enjoy Australia. Before we go, Shelley, your 2 favourite places where people must visit in Queensland.
In Queensland.
In Queensland.
One of them's a secret. So
Guys, I can't let her get away with that. Okay, go. Okay, 2 others apart from your secret.
Okay, I'd have to say Fraser Island.
Yep.
Which is quite close to Brisbane or the Sunshine Coast, and also then the Sunshine Coast hinterland. Okay, awesome. Hey guys, if anyone's going to book with Shelley for the tuitions, do find out the secret location and let me know. Okay, I've travelled most of Australia, and hopefully I've ticked that box. But when you find a good place, you do want to keep the secret, because that's what makes it unique. So awesome, guys. Good luck with your English tests and everything like that. We're here to help you throughout the process. And Shelley, you're a star, and we'll speak soon. Thank you.
All right, catch you later, guys.
Bye.